Hi, this is Mrs. Myers, and I am going to go through the problems from the diagnostic test to explain how they are to be done and to show all the work. To help anybody who might still have questions, feel free to fast forward through to find the problems that you want to listen to. Okay, so part A is solving equations. We're solving for x. First thing you need to do is think about this as two sides of an equation and simplify each side first. Simplify meaning we have to do the distributive property here, and the left side is already simplified. The right side is simplified with distributive property. We end up with 3x equals a negative 39 when we subtract 2x from both sides. That gives us the 3x, and subtract 11 from both sides. That gives us the negative 39. So our final answer here is x equals negative 13. Divide by 3 on both sides to get negative 13. Okay, number 2 is a proportion. 6 over 3 equals x plus 7 over 3x. We have to cross multiply, so we have to do 6 times 3x this way. And 3 times parentheses, don't forget to think about that as being in parentheses, x plus 7. Now we have this equation. Again, think about it as two sides that each need to be simplified. 3x plus 21 equals 18x. When we subtract 3x from both sides, we get 21 equals 15x, and divide by 15 on both sides, and x equals 21 over 15, which can simplify to 7 over 5. Divide top and bottom by 3. So 7 over 5 is the final answer there. Number 3, again, simplify each side. Here we have a 6, and then we have minus 4, and then parentheses 2x plus 1. So this 4 needs to be distributed to everything. Remember to keep the subtraction sign, or you can change it to plus a negative, and distribute a negative 4. So this is going to become 6 minus 8x minus 4 equals a negative 6x plus 26. When we simplify this, we get positive 6 minus 4 is a positive 2. Positive 6 minus 4 is a positive 2. Minus 8x equals negative 6x plus 26. When we add 8x to both sides, we get 2x over here. Subtract 26 from both sides, we get negative 24 over here. Divide by 2, we get x equals negative 12. Part B, solving inequalities. We're going to treat this just like it's an equation, an equal sign, but we're going to keep it as a greater than or equal to sign. We're going to add x to both sides. We get 4x over here. We're going to subtract 5 from both sides. We're going to get 20 over there. Divide by 4 on both sides. We get x is greater than or equal to 5. Part C, solving for a variable. That just means isolate whatever variable they ask you to solve for. So you're trying to get x on one side all by itself here. Here's the x. We want to get that all by itself. So we're going to subtract the 4y from both sides. We get 2x equals 16 minus 4y. Then we're going to divide by 2 on both sides to get x by itself. Remember that you have to divide everything by 2. So I could write this like this. Everything gets divided by 2. So x equals 8 minus 2y is your final answer. 8 minus 2y or negative 2y plus 8. Either one is correct. Number 6 says solve for m. So now we want to get m all by itself. There's the m. We want to isolate that. So we're going to subtract 9 from both sides. We get y minus 9 equals m times x. Again, trying to get m all alone, we're going to divide by x to get the x's to cancel. So m equals y minus 9 over x. Final answer. What are your graphs? Given 2 points, find the slope. Here's our slope formula. We're going to do x1, y1, x2, y2. Those are the 2 points here. So y2 minus y1 on top is going to be negative 4 minus 2 on the top, and x2 minus x1 on the bottom is going to be 4 minus a negative 2. So negative 4 minus 2 on the top is negative 6, and 4 minus a negative 2 is like plus a positive, so it's negative 6 over 6, or negative 1. The perpendicular line, the slope would be opposite reciprocal. So you're going to flip this upside down and opposite change the sign, so it has to be a positive 1. Find the x and y intercepts to graph this. So x-intercept is going to be when y equals 0, and a y-intercept is going to be when x equals 0. So to find the x-intercept, we're going to take 3x plus negative 2y, and we're going to make that a 0, which pretty much just cancels this out. Negative 2 times 0 is just 0. So we have 3x equals negative 12. We're going to divide by 3 on both sides, and x equals negative 4. That's the x-intercept. So here's our x-axis, here's our y-axis. X is negative 4. It's going to be plotted right there. The y-intercept is when x equals 0. So we're going to take the same equation and plug in 0 for x this time, which cancels that whole thing out. That's just 0. So now we're going to divide both sides by negative 2. And y equals positive 6. So the y-axis is here, positive 6 is here. The line would go through those 2 intercepts, and that would be how we graph that equation. Okay, graph using any method. So here it looks like it's in slope-intercept form. So the slope in this case is 4, because there's our mx plus b, right? Y equals mx plus b. And our y-intercept is negative 8. That's this piece right here. So we're going to start at the y-intercept is at negative 8. We're going to count our slope is 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1. 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1. And we're going to connect the points like that. And that's the graph of that line. All right, factoring and solving polynomial expressions and equations. When it says factor, you are not solving for x. You are just factoring. So you're going to look for a GCF first. Always look for a GCF first. Then you're going to check if it's a binomial. See if it's a difference of 2 squares. That's what you're going to check for. But if it's a trinomial, you are just going to factor it like this. There's lots of methods for doing that. But this one, there's no GCF. So to factor this, it is a binomial. 2 terms means it's a binomial. So we have to check, is it a difference of 2 squares? Difference meaning subtraction. It is. There's a subtraction sign here. So it is a difference of 2 things. Are they 2 perfect squares? Is 36 a perfect square? Yes. Is x squared a perfect square? Yes. So this is a difference of 2 squares. So difference of 2 squares is always factored where the one parenthesis has a plus in it and one has a minus. The first term in each parenthesis is the square root of the first term. So the square root of x squared equals x. And the last term in each parenthesis is the square root of this term. Square root of 36 is 6. So you're going to have x plus 6, x minus 6 as your final answer. Like I said, we're not solving for x. You shouldn't have x equals something here. The factored form is x plus 6, x minus 6. That's your final answer. Number 11 is not a binomial, it's a trinomial. Is there a GCF, greatest common factor of all three? Nope. So we're just going to factor like this. Notice that the leading coefficient, in other words, in front of this x squared, there's no number. That means the leading coefficient is 1. It's like an invisible 1 there. That's the easiest kind of trinomial factoring there is, because you're just thinking to yourself what multiplies to be 20 and adds to be negative 12, right? Multiplies to the last term and adds to be the middle term. So that's what you're thinking now. So for this one, we've got x and x to get the first term. What multiplies to be 20? Well, we've got 1 times 20. We've got 2 times 10. We've got 4 times 5, and that's our only choices. To add to be negative 12, the only possibility would be 2 and 10. So we're going to put 2 and 10. We want it to be a negative 12, so we would need it to be a negative 2 plus a negative 10. So our final answer here is x minus 2, x minus 10. Remember, you can always check to see if you factored correctly by multiplying these things out and see if you get back what you started with. X times x is x squared. X times negative 10 is negative 10x. Now we do the next one. Negative 2x and a positive 20. These combine to be a negative 12x. And if we look back at what we started with, x squared minus 12x plus 20, and then we know we factored it correctly. Okay, number 12, 4x squared plus 8x minus 5. Is there a GCF? Check for that first. Nope. Is it a binomial? Nope, it's a trinomial, so we're going to factor it like this. But this is not a 1 this time. So the rules change a little bit. Now we have to think what multiplies to be the product of these two numbers. So multiplies to be a negative 20 and adds to be a positive 8. Now, this method is going to change based on how you've been taught. There's a lot of different ways of doing this. Some of you know the box method. And for the box method, you would have a 4x squared here and a negative 5 here. Up here, that's where your negative 20 would go, negative 20x squared. And that's where your 8 down here would go, 8x. So these two numbers show up in your box method right here, top and bottom on this diamond here. Now you're thinking what multiplies to be negative 20 and adds to be 8. Again, for 20, we've got 1 and 20, 2 times 10, 4 times 5. Again, we're going to have 2 and 10 as our possibilities that add to be 8. In order to get it to be a positive 8, we would need a positive 10 and a negative 2. That would give us a positive 8. So we're going to do negative 2x here and positive 10x. And that's what fills in our box. Now we're going to do the greatest common factor of these top two boxes is 2x. And the greatest common factor of these bottom two boxes is the negative 1. And then you're going to do this way, the GCF is negative 2x. And this way is a negative 5. So we never want to have a negative number in front of our factor. So you may think of writing this as 2x minus 1 and negative 2x minus 5, but that negative we want to pull out, and we're going to make it a 2x plus 5. So we have 2x minus 1, 2x plus 5. Okay, number 13, same process, same idea here. 3x squared goes here, negative 18 goes there. Multiply those two together. Oh, sorry. Stop that for a second. I forgot to look for my GCF, right? We got to look for a GCF first. The GCF, pull that out, is 3. So I can rewrite this as 3 times x squared plus x minus 6. It's like dividing each of these things by 3. So now that simplifies my life a little bit here, because now I have a leading coefficient of 1. So I just have to factor x squared plus x minus 6. I'm going to make it x and x. And what multiplies to be a negative 6 and adds to be a positive 1. And that's going to be 2 and 3. Negative 6 and positive 1, so it has to be a positive 3 and a minus 2. So plus 3 and minus 2. So that should be your final answer here. Don't forget we pulled out that 3 in the beginning, so that has to go out front. 3 times x minus 2, x plus 3. All right, now the rules change a little bit here when they ask you to use the zero product property to solve. The difference here, up here they were asking us just to factor, and down here they were asking us to solve. Same process. Look for a GCF, look for a binomial, look for a trinomial. In this case, there's no GCF. It's a trinomial with a leading coefficient of 1, so I'm just thinking what multiplies to be negative 36 and adds to be a negative 9. And for this, I am going to come up with 3 and negative 12. Multiplies to be negative 36, adds to be negative 9. So that's going to be a plus 3 minus 12 here. But this is 0. So I'm not done. I have to solve. We're not just factoring here. We're solving. So we have to set each of these factors equal to 0. That's the zero product property. So what x would make this factor equal to 0 would be negative 3. And what factor would make this, what value of x would make this factor equal to 0 would be 12. So my final answer is negative 3 or 12. Number 15, solve using the square root method. Again, GCF first. 5x squared minus 5. When I divide everything by 5. Now I've got the 5 out front, and then I have to continue factoring. It says factor, we have to factor, square root method. I was doing the factoring method. Okay, square root method. So in order to use the square root method, we want to get x squared isolated first. So we're going to add 125 to both sides. So 5x squared equals 125. Now we're going to divide both sides by 5 to get x squared all by itself. That's how we can find the square root of it. We're using the square root method. So divide by 5 here, you're going to get 25. Now we have to take the square root of both sides. That's what the square root method says. X equals, well, the square root of 25 is either a 5 or a negative 5. So x equals plus or minus 5. Using the quadratic formula here, negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. In this case, a is 2, b is 5, c is negative 6, a, b, c. We're going to plug that in here. We're going to get negative 5 plus or minus the square root of 5 squared is 25 minus 4 times a is 2 and c is negative 6 all over 2 times 2. Inside this parenthesis we have 25 minus, and then there's a 4, a 2, and a negative 6. We have a negative here and a negative here. That's going to be a positive, so this becomes negative 5 plus or minus the square root of 25 plus 4 times 2 is 8 times 6 is 48 all over 4. 2 times 2 is 4. Simplify that further. You've got 25 plus 48 is 73. Now this says to leave it as an exact answer, so you can leave it right like that. Negative 5 plus or minus the square root of 73 over 4. That's it. Okay, solving the systems by substitution first. Oh, actually, it says any method. In this case, we have y equals exactly 4x minus 2. So I'm going to use substitution method here. That's going to be my easiest. I'm going to take the other equation and substitute the value of y where the y goes. So 3x minus, there's the y, equals negative 2. Y is exactly equal to 4x minus 2, so I'm going to put that in here. And then I'm just going to solve. 3x minus 4x, remember distribute that negative, it's going to be plus 2, equals negative 2. 3x minus 4x is negative 1x. Subtract 2 from both sides. Negative 4, x equals 4. So x equals 4, but we're not done because we need y. So we're going to take x equals 4, we're going to plug it back in to the original y equals 4 times 4 now, minus 2, which is 14. So you can write your answer like this. X equals 4, y equals 14. Or you could write it as an ordered pair, 4, 14, x and y. Any method we prefer, we could do substitution, excuse me, here again, but we would have to isolate a variable first. So I'm actually going to use elimination method here. Sometimes they call it something different, but basically you're going to add these together and get a variable to cancel out. But in order to do that, you have to multiply each one by a number that will cancel out. So I'm going to get my y's to cancel. So I'm going to multiply the top by negative 3, which would make that a negative 6 here. And then I'm going to multiply the bottom by 2, which may make that a positive 6 here. And those will eventually cancel. Don't forget to multiply everything through, though. So negative 3 times 3x is negative 9x. And then negative 3 times 2y is negative 6y equals negative 3 times 1 is negative 3. And then 2 times 4x is 8x plus 6y equals a negative 4 when we distribute all the way through here. Add these together. The y's cancel. I get negative 7 equals negative 9x plus 8x is a negative x, 1x. So x is 7. So if x is 7, we have to figure out what y is. I can take either of these equations. I'm going to use the first one. And I'm going to plug in x is 7. So 3 times 7 plus 2y equals 1. That's 21 plus 2y equals 1. Subtract 21 from both sides. And I get 2y equals negative 20 and y equals negative 10. So your final answer should be 7, negative 10. Okay, thank you.